Do you struggle moving forward on the court? Do you feel like when you're moving forward to hit a volley, you just don't feel right? It feels uncoordinated, not smooth, jerky, and inconsistent when you hit the ball. Well, in this video, I'm gonna fix that, so make sure you stay tuned, because after this, you're gonna understand how to move fluidly and smoothly to end those points at the net. Like I said in the intro of this video is how to move smoothly to finish off points at the net. Now, this is a three-part series, and this is part 2. If you haven't watched part 1, which is about technique, go here and watch that now before you watch this, because this video is just going to build on that last video. So let's get started. Why do you want to learn how to move fluidly to the net? Maybe you're really successful hanging at the baseline, but I guarantee at some level when you're going to play somebody better, you're going to need to move forward. Or you're gonna play a really long match where basically you're just lobbing the ball over and over because no one's gonna miss. But at some level, the better players are always trying to do what? Take advantage, take time away, put pressure on their opponent to make an error. Because if you're thinking you're gonna go out there and hit a lot of winners from the baseline, it's not gonna happen. And if you wanna just go out there and be consistent all day long, well, more power to you for wanting to stay out for 5 or 6 hours. But the easier way is learning how to move forward, to take time away and put pressure on your opponent to come up with better and better shots. So that's why it's important. Now let's talk about the concepts. What do we need to understand mentally and what we need to do physically to become a better mover to finish off points? Number one concept is this: don't spill your drink. And you're like, aren't we talking about tennis here, not drinking? Well, whatever drink you would have, if I had you come out to the court with a drink and I put a racket in your hand, what would you do? You wouldn't try to spill it. And that's the whole point. By not trying to spill it and move and hit a volley, what would you do? You'll be smooth and fluid. I don't even have to tell you how to move. You just naturally understand that if there's a drink in your hand and you don't want to spill it and it's full, I need to be very fluid and keep my balance. And that's the key to being a great mover at the net and volleying successfully, is making sure that you're moving with balance and you're moving smooth. The other reason why this is so important is because we talked about in video 1, one of the most important elements of being a consistent volleyer is what your racket face is doing. Because your racket face is going to send the ball in whatever direction it's set. If you can't control your movement and you're constantly jerking or falling or having some weird motion, guess what? It makes it way harder for you to control where the ball is going at contact, which means you're going to be more inconsistent, which means probably you don't want to come to net. And we don't want that, because when coming in, it gives you the power to finish points off and make sure you can put pressure on your opponent. And so that's the first main concept that you want to have in your head, is that when I move, I want to move fluidly and smooth. The second concept to being a great mover and making sure you don't get too close and far away is learning how to set the racket. And what I mean by setting the racket, a lot of players make the mistake of they see a volley and they just start running towards it. And halfway towards the volley, they get their racket ready. And so what happens is they run towards the ball, they get their racket ready halfway there, and they figure out that, whoa, I'm too close. And they have to do like the fend-off volley, which is always a disaster. So what you want to do is set your racket first when you see the ball coming. This now tells your feet and your body how close you need to be away or get to the ball. By setting your racket, now it gives you this guide of, as you're moving to the ball, where I need to be and how I need to move. And so when you combine both of these together, don't spill your drink, and set your racket, you can move fluidly and smooth up to the ball without getting jammed or too close. Now, obviously, if someone's going to just crush a ball at you, you have to do your best. But on average, when you are moving, you have that time to take advantage and you're in control. These are the two concepts you want to keep in your mind to start moving fluidly and smoothly through the ball. The last thing you want to think of is, how can I transfer my weight through the ball? Because most people, when they get up to the ball, they're trying to swing, they're trying to add something with their hand. Now, if you think about it, you've already created all this momentum from moving. Use the momentum as power on the ball or placement on the ball. You're really just using your racket to deflect the ball. And so what you really need to do, instead of adding more swing, which now also makes your contact and racket face inconsistent, especially if you're late or super early, what you need to do is use your momentum of how you're moving forward and transfer that through the ball. Those are the 3 keys to becoming a much better mover and taking advantage of your opponent when they give you the opportunity to move forward. Now let's talk about action steps. So the very first thing is understanding the set, just getting used to setting the racket. The second thing is the walk. And it might be different for you. You might want to run towards the net, but I encourage you to try this at first. It's gonna feel totally different from what you're used to, which is just have a ball machine or a friend feed you balls where you actually just walk. You might have to get a ball machine because your friend might think you're weird or your pro might think you're weird, but it's totally okay because you're gonna learn how to hit great volleys moving forward. So all I'm gonna do is have Megan feed me a couple balls, and I'm gonna start by setting my racket, and I'm just gonna walk, and as I'm walking, I'm gonna continue to walk through the ball and just tap the ball a little bit. So it'll look like this. Really simple, and notice how I'm not stopping. So you can see how that's super smooth. There's no kind of jerking or anything. I'm gonna do it one more time, set the racket, and just walk, make a little adjustment as the ball's coming different. And you can see as I'm moving forward, I'm just slightly adjusting my racket and even having to adjust my feet a little bit. That's the first step. Do this a lot until you feel comfortable. The big thing I think when people start to do this, they feel like, whoa, and they try to step. They try to do this action, and they'll stop, and they'll stop. Make sure you're continuously walking through the ball and transitioning your weight. The second one is a jog. You take it up a level in speed. So I'm gonna set my racket the same, and I'm just gonna jog through really lightly. So set and jog, and you can see how that's super smooth. And sometimes I even start back a little bit deeper to give you more room to run. But again, set and jog, okay, set and jog. And you can see how I didn't stop after I hit the ball. And so it sets you up to kind of really make sure you're moving smoothly through the ball. Practice this a lot. And then you can get to the phase where you start moving even faster. And again, you only want to move as fast as you can control your racket face and your body. So I'm going to move, set, boom, set, boom. And you can really see how I got to that really quickly, but everything's super smooth. And that's the key. You got to be super smooth. So let's sum everything up. Number one, don't spill the drink. Whatever the drink of choice you have, don't spill it. So you've got to get in this mindset of that I'm holding a drink when I'm volleying, and when I'm moving, I have to be fluid and smooth. Just think about a low volley, how most players are lunging and reaching, but still they have this opportunity to, if you had a drink, even if you had to lunge, you would lunge a lot smoother, a lot more fluid, because you didn't want to spill your drink. That's the idea and the concept you have to keep in the back of your head. Number two, you got to set that racket. You got to get it out there early. The first move is to get the racket there, and now the racket tells the feet where to go. Most players have it backwards. They start moving to the ball, and what do? They get the racket set halfway there, and then they get jammed and do the fend off. Don't do the fend off. It's so important to set your racket, then move your feet, okay? And that means also that you don't have to rush. If you're smooth and fluid and you don't have to rush so much, which means you'll get to the ball in a better balance, you'll probably hit a better volley. And it doesn't mean you can't go fast, but don't go so fast that you start losing your balance. Number three, don't stop when you hit the volley. Crushes me. Keep moving forward. You want to transition your weight. Just like when you're walking, the moment you take the step and stop, all your weight stops. So to continue walking, you have to continue moving forward. Just like if I was pushing something here and I take that step, well, guess what? Nothing else can be pushed until I take another step. And so you want to keep that idea of stepping forward and through the volley. Not only that, it gives you this added benefit that you're getting closer to the net. As you get closer, you're gonna have more opportunities to hit down to the court because the ball will hopefully be higher. And even if it is low, you're gonna be more balanced, which means you're gonna hit a better and higher quality volley. So now you know the keys to moving fluid and smoothly at the net to start winning points. When you combine this with the technique, you have a potent recipe for being a player to add more pressure and win more points at net. So make sure you hang out for video 3 coming up really soon, where we talk about what should you do. Now that you can hit the volley, now that you can move smoothly at the net, where should I hit the ball? For singles and doubles, because that's what's coming up in the next video. If you like this video, make sure you go to totaltennisdomination.org so you can get on our subscriber list. Every week I send out videos of private tips just to our subscribers of how to get better at your tennis game. And I answer questions. I love the conversation and feedback and this thing going back and forth of answering questions, getting you better at tennis, and also figuring out what kind of information and content you want and videos you want to make you better. So make sure you get on that list today because it's super important that can help you improve your game faster.